September 23. My dear friend Makar Alexievich, for 3 days I have not written you a word, and I have had a great many anxieties and worries. The day before yesterday, Bikov was here. I was alone. Fedora had gone off somewhere. I opened the door to him and was so frightened when I saw him that I could not move. I felt that I turned pale. He walked in, as he always does, with a loud laugh, took a chair and sat down. For a long while I could not recover myself. At last I sat down in the corner to my work. He even left off laughing. I believe my appearance impressed him. I have grown so thin of late. My eyes and my cheeks are hollow. I was as white as a sheet. It would really be hard for anyone to recognize me who had known me a year ago. He looked long and intently at me. Then at last he began to be lively again, said something or other. I don't know what I answered, and he laughed again. He stayed a whole hour with me, talked to me a long time, asked me some questions. At last, just before leaving, he took me by the hand and said, "I write you it word for word."
Varvara Alexieva, between ourselves be it said, your relation and my intimate friend Anna Theodorovna is a very nasty woman.
Then he used an unseemly word about her.
She led your cousin astray and ruined you. I behaved like a rascal in that case too, but after all, it's a thing that happens every day.
Then he laughed heartily. Then he observed that he was not great at fine speeches, and that most of what he had to explain, about which the obligations of gentlemanly feeling forbade him to be silent, he had told me already, and that in brief words he would come to the rest. Then he told me he was asking my hand in marriage, that he thought it was his duty to restore my good name, that he was rich, that after the wedding he would take me away to his estates in the steppes, that he wanted to go coursing hares there, that he would never come back to Petersburg again because it was horrid in Petersburg, that he had here in Petersburg, as he expressed it, a good-for-nothing nephew whom he had sworn to deprive of the estate, and it was just for that reason, in the hope of having legitimate heirs, that he sought my hand, that it was the chief cause of his courtship. Then he observed that I was living in a very poor way, and it was no wonder I was ill living in such a slum, predicted that I should certainly die if I stayed here another month, said that lodgings in Petersburg were horrid, and finally asked me if I wanted anything. I was so overcome at his offer that, I don't know why, I began crying. He took my tears for gratitude and told me he had always been sure I was a good, feeling, and educated girl, but that he had not been able to make up his mind to take this step till he had found out about my present behavior in full detail. Then he asked me about you, said that he had learned all about it, that you were a man of good principles, that he did not want to be indebted to you, and asked whether 500 roubles would be enough for all that you had done for me. When I explained to him that what you had done for me no money could repay, he said that it was all nonsense, that that was all romantic stuff out of novels, that I was young and read poetry, that novels were the ruin of young girls, that books were destructive of morality, and that he could not bear books of any sort. He advised me to wait till I was his age, and then talk about people.
Then, he added, you will know what men are like.
Then he said I was to think over his offer thoroughly, that he would very much dislike it if I were to take such an important step thoughtlessly. He added that thoughtlessness and impulsiveness were the ruin of inexperienced youth, but that he quite hoped for a favorable answer from me, but that in the opposite event he should be forced to marry some Moscow shopkeeper's daughter,
because,
he said,
I have sworn that good-for-nothing nephew shall not have the estate.
He forced 500 roubles into my hands, as he said,
to buy sweetmeats.
He said that in the country I should grow as round as a bun, that with him I should be living on the fat of the land, that he had a terrible number of things to see to now, that he was dragging about all day on business, and that he had just slipped in to see me between his engagements. And then he went away. I thought for a long time. I pondered many things. I wore myself out thinking, my friend. At last I made up my mind. My friend, I shall marry him. I ought to accept his offer. If anyone can rescue me from shame, restore my good name, and ward off poverty, privation, and misfortune from me in the future, it is he and no one else. What more can one expect from the future? What more can one expect from fate? Fedora says I must not throw away my good fortune. She says if this isn't good fortune, what is? Anyway, I can find no other course for me, my precious friend. What am I to do? I have ruined my health with work as it is. I can't go on working continually. Go into a family? I should pine away with depression. Besides, I should be of no use to anyone. I am of a sickly constitution, and so I shall always be a burden on other people. Of course I am not going into a paradise. But what am I to do, my friend? What am I to do? What choice have I? I have not asked your advice. I wanted to think it over alone. The decision you have just read is unalterable, and I shall immediately inform Bykov of it. He is pressing me to answer quickly. He said that his business would not wait, that he must be off, and that he couldn't put it off for nonsense. God knows whether I shall be happy. My fate is in his holy, inscrutable power, but I have made up my mind. They say Bykov is a kind-hearted man. He will respect me. Perhaps I too shall respect him. What more can one expect from such a marriage? I will let you know about everything, Makar Alexievich. I am sure you will understand all my wretchedness. Do not try to dissuade me from my intention. Your efforts will be in vain. Weigh in your own mind all that has forced me to this step. I was very much distressed at first, but now I am calmer. What is before me, I don't know. What will be, as God wills. Bykov has come. I leave this letter unfinished. I wanted to tell you a great deal more. Bykov is here already.
Breaking in. As I understand the tale, in this letter, Varvara narrates that she has just decided to marry her rapist. By now, I hope it is clear that Anna Fyodorovna is a procuress. She is in the business of finding destitute and desperate young girls or women, whom she can then sell to rich gentlemen. Since Varvara has moved to Petersburg, Anna Fyodorovna has apparently already sold information to the officer, and then to the officer's uncle. We have seen two other victims as well, the first wife of Pokrovsky and Varvara's cousin, Sasha. Bykov is not lying when he calls her a very nasty woman. Bykov, of course, is one of her best customers. He apparently is the father of the younger Pokrovsky. As Varvara testifies that she has been ruined by some cruelty in the past, and as Fedora has outed Bykov as a cause of her downfall, we can only assume that he was Anna Fyodorovna's customer in Varvara's case as well. So, why should Varvara accept this proposal? I don't know that I have much to add here to the simple explanation already provided. Varvara is desperate. She is ill, and she is likely to die before much longer in Petersburg, unless she can find some significant change in her material circumstances. Bykov is providing that lifeline. It may also be that Bykov is not factually wrong when he callously reports that this sort of thing happened all the time. If this kind of event was a common enough element in 19th century Russia, it is small wonder that a helpless character should acquiesce to it, no matter how odious it was. As Dostoevsky himself insisted, human beings are capable of becoming used to anything. End of comments.